Biden gave a series of speeches to black audiences yesterday, one of them in the morning to Morehouse College in Georgia. It was the commencement address, and he framed the United States as a hateful place that does not love black Americans. In fact, he said that out loud. Take a listen.
Most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
He also claimed black men are being killed in the street, that black Americans have to work 10 times harder to succeed than everybody else, and that's all a product of the racism in America. Here to discuss this, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Madam Lieutenant Governor, good to have you back with us. Thank you.
Oh, so glad to be back, Vince. You know, this was also the same man who talked about the hairy legs that he had when he was a lifeguard in a predominantly black pool, and how he called them the golden hairs would lay down and the kids would, you know, rub them down and watch them raise back up again. I mean, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. We're so sick as black people of the constant putting down, trying to dumb us down. Come talk to us about the issues. Talk about your economic policies and what you're going to do. Talk to us about your trade policies. Talk to us about how you're going to keep us safe. Talk to us about what's happening on the international scene. For heaven's sake, talk to us about what you're doing at the border, because, you know, Vince, the people of Texas have spent about, $12 billion with a B dollars of their own taxpayers' money, not federal money, to protect themselves. And by the way, the border of Texas that it has with Mexico stretches, you might as well say it's as long as from Atlanta to Portland, Maine. Mm-hmm. That's how long it is. And the people have had to do that by themselves, while the President Biden told us that, well, there, you know, a border is secure, a border is secure. Did I tell you a border is secure? So black people aren't buying it anymore, and enough of us have begun to look at so many things, and that's why you see some of the indifference to what he's been saying, Biden has been saying, and you heard the lukewarm applause. It's like, wait a minute, am I supposed to clap now? Or, you know, is that something that's clappable? It's pathetic.
I noticed that there were members of that commencement audience, graduates of Morehouse, who were protesting President Biden, turning their backs on him, some remaining seated rather than standing to honor him. And he did lie relentlessly during that speech. As I mentioned, he claimed that black people are being killed in the streets in America, implying that was at the hands of cops. He used the George Floyd death as a way to springboard. And when, in fact, according to the Washington Post, unarmed black people, just 16 were shot by cops last year. Just 16. So far this year, 3. Additionally, he said that Morehouse College graduates have to work 10 times harder than the rest of the population. But we pulled the salary data. The average college graduate starts at a job of $68,000. The average Morehouse graduate, $77,000. In other words, they have a 12% advantage coming out of Morehouse. Why does he keep lying? And do you think that black voters are recognizing that he is lying?
Of course. And you see, well, for Democrats to win, they need at least 90% of the black vote. Now, this is why the Democrats push so hard against Republicans, because if you have a business, Vince, and 90% of any one of your customers, it comes from one company, you're dead. Because if they ever make a different decision and go to your competitor, you don't have any place to go. Your income is gone. And so that's why you hear some of the lies that they say. You hear the president lie. You hear others of them lie. And the worst thing is not police and black on crime. It's black on black crime. We need to fix that. We are killing each other. And then when you have a 6-year-old black child down in Newport News area say, I killed that bee dead. That's not a gun problem, Vince. There's something else going on. And by the way, from what I understand, the parent of that child had that gun legally. So we've got issues And we don't need leaders who lie to us. We don't need leaders who continually divide us. We need, when you come to the black community, as we say on the street, come to us correct. Come to us with respect. Come and talk to us about policy. Don't come to us with this nonsense racism, and more racism. Our children are not learning. Our children are years behind. And we need somebody with a solution, President Biden. We don't need you coming to our graduation of these young black men who are on the cusp of success and telling us that they're being killed in the streets, that they don't have a prayer, that they don't have a future with Republicans. My God, I'm a Republican. I'm black. My husband is black. My children are black. My grandchildren are black. What do they think? We're idiots? So that's why you see, as I said, there is an apathy against him, and that's why he's trying so hard. And what he ought to do is stick to the issues and don't think we're dumb. Stick to the issues. That's what he needs to do. I mean, in 2012, I was checking him out again. President Biden in 2012, when he came to Danville, Virginia. See, I'm going to show you he hasn't learned anything. Came to Danville, Virginia, talked to a predominantly black audience. And instead of sticking with the issues of economic development, which is what Danville needed and still needs, he says to them, they, meaning Republicans, gonna put y'all back in chains. What? You're the president of the United States. What is a gonna put y'all back in chains? Is that the way you think black people speak? And even if you do think we speak that way, why would you come to us that way? You don't go to your white constituency and speak that way. So this is what I'm saying. People are waking up, and enough of us are waking up and saying, we're not playing the same old, same old. We need you to come and talk policy, not racism.
He's got a long history, and some of which you've laid out, of doing this very thing, including at one point indicating if you don't support him, he said, quote, you ain't black. You ain't black, suggesting that there was some sort of black litmus test by whether or not you support Biden. It's in my view, explicitly racist. I don't really know how to get around that, Lieutenant Governor.
If we could figure him out, I don't even begin to try to understand him anymore. And I don't think he understands himself anymore. So what we need to do is understand this much. Joe got to go. Since that's the way he's speaking, well, let's follow his lead. Joe, you got to go.
So the alternative, of course, is his Republican opponent, who's trapped in a courtroom yet again today in New York. That's Donald Trump. And as you mentioned, go ahead.
Even black men, they understand that they were doing much better under President Trump than right now. I go to the pump. I go to the gas pump, and Vince, I'm arguing with the pump about how high gas is. When President Biden is the reason why gas is as high as it is, because the very first thing he did, day one, after his inauguration, was sign the executive order killing the Keystone Pipeline. There were at least 8,000 union jobs gone, bam, with that stroke of a pen, and it's not been the same since. So we were energy independent, and now we're not. So things need to change.
Yeah, for sure.
The economy is not what it needs to be.
And we've seen some surveys, especially among black men, that nearly 30% of them are now supporting Donald Trump for president of the United States. President Trump, as far as Republicans go, reaching unprecedented levels of support, certainly this century, which is an interesting phenomenon. And I want to ask you about your views of President Trump now, Lieutenant Governor, because it was just a couple years ago, I think, ahead of the primary process, that you thought it would be a good idea. I think your phrase was to move on from Trump. How do you feel about him now? Were you right in that assessment, or maybe wrong in that assessment in the past? And how enthusiastic are you about seeing him return to the Oval Office?
Well, what I'm thinking is Joe's got to go. Whatever form that takes, Joe's got to go. I can't vote for President Biden. all the statements that he's made in the past, he doesn't really respect black people. I don't see how. He keeps saying the same stupid thing, and I'm just done with him. Well, not that I was ever going to support him anyway, but still, I mean, he has not improved, and when his poll numbers go low, he goes low.
Yes.
He goes low, and he goes to the very base of the base, and what he wants to say is, vote for me because I'm Democrat, you're black. We need him, for example, if you're going to talk about black, you need to go to VSU, Virginia State University, our only other land-grant university, which was created, wait for it, by Republicans, so that black people would have an education. Hence, Morehouse College, where you, Mr. President, just told these black men they don't have a future. And so we just need to move on from him. Really, we do.
Well, and also as far as Virginia State University goes, you've got that was supposed to host one of these presidential debates. Biden has upended that by saying, I'm not doing the Commission on Presidential Debates. And you saw President Trump just this past week suggest, how about this? Whoever my vice presidential nominee is, I'm going to announce it soon, that VP debate should take place at Virginia State University. Do you agree with that?
Of course I agree with that. We want to highlight Virginia State University. As I said, it's our only other. There are two of them, Tech and VSU. And there are 5 HBCU, historically black colleges and universities in Virginia. We want to highlight at least one of them. And they were promised this. And if the Democrats say that they love black people more than everybody else, then show your love, as we say. Come to VSU. You have that power, President Biden. You can change things. You have the power. Make it so.
Right. So Kamala Harris should do the VSU debate, you think, to prove that she loves black people.
Well, see, this is what happens when they play these stupid skin games.
Yes.
We never learn, and they think that we're just going to, pee-pee, cluck-cluck, as my grandmother used to say, behind whoever it is like geese. We're not geese. We think for ourselves, and if a black person wishes to vote for a Democrat, okay, fine. But if they also want to vote for a Republican or whoever else, that's fine too. But you don't define me being black by how I vote. I vote the way that I want to vote. Everybody else can do that except black people? No. Go back and tell whoever told you that we're black and we're supposed to be Democrat. It may rhyme, but we're not going that path any longer. We're thinking. We're not going to be forced into fearing. See, this is where the Democrats go. They want black people to fear. Pity the leader. Pity the leader that causes his own population to fear in order for him to win an election. That's not what we want.
No.
We just want to be safe in our communities. We want our children to have a hope and a future. How can our children be hopeful if they're living in fear? That's not what we want. We want an economic policy that works for all of us. We want equal opportunity, which is what my father got when he came in 1963 with nothing but $1.75, and now here I sit, second in command in the former capital of the Confederacy. Things have changed since my father came in 1963. We ain't going to be back in chains, Mr. President.
So
stop it.
And it's a great American story, and I love your family's service too as Marines. That's the best. So again, one more time on the issue of Trump, because he is down by 1 point. I saw a poll last week. He's in Virginia. It's going to be a nail biter potentially. How much are you going to do to try and move the ball for him? Will you work for his reelection to get him over the edge?
Well, we're working now because we don't want Biden. We don't want Biden. We want to be respected overseas. We want our allies to respect it, and we want those who don't have good intentions for America to respect us.
Yeah.
And when Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan in the way that they did, all those Marines were killed, including 2 sailors, I believe, and 1 soldier, and left 20 billion worth of equipment, our uniforms that we saw the Taliban in, watching them driving in our Jeeps, our ammo, and the Communist Chinese Party, they moved right in, got all of those rare earth minerals that we left blood on the field for, where we as Marines, we fought twice to retake parts of Afghanistan. No. So something's got to give, and I think the American people are seeing it. I don't know if the polls will hold, but I do think the people want different, and we've just got to win in November. So I thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about this and to say to our listeners, whatever color that God has made us, that we've just got to really consider who is better for us. And our economic policies are not working. They haven't worked. We're all feeling the pain.
We definitely are. Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears of the Commonwealth of Virginia, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you being with us, as always.